The Forgotten Realms are home to many a strange and fearsome creature. Here, we aim to discuss them all. Go not blindly into the unknown, adventurer. Join us in browsing the bestiary.
Welcome back to Browsing the Bestiary, a podcast that takes an in-depth look at all those creatures that put the monster in Monster Manual, the beast in Bestiary, and of course, the dragons in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Dungeon Mistress Jayde.
And this is Lore Master Andy, and I didn't mess up the intro this time. Unlike last episode, we're moving up in the world.
We'll just leave the opening to me from now on.
That's right. That's right. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
To be fair, I did mess it up the first time I read it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Way back when.
Luckily, this is an audio medium, right? They can't see our embarrassed faces when we mess it up. Welcome back.
We will not do it live.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Welcome back to your listeners. Hopefully, you've had some good adventures and some good times and vibes between the last episode and today. Jayde, we need a dice roll to figure out what we're going to talk about today.
We do, and this is going to be the start of a series. But first, let's see which monster we're looking at. I have these cute little yellow orange. Oh, actually, they're fall dice. There's little leaves in them. Yellow orange resin dice. I'm gonna shake up for you.
Very topical.
And we got a 9.
A 9. Oh, geez. That's not very good, and that's very thematic because today we are talking about the yellow musk creeper and the yellow musk zombie.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes, 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 dear listeners.
Yeah, this is gonna be part of our little series called "Damn Nature, You Scary."
Yes, yes, it is. Okay, so our quote actually does not come from the 5th edition Monster Manual, but comes from the infamous meat grinder module Tomb of Annihilation, which is where this creature first shows up in 5th edition. The entry states, quote, "A yellow musk creeper is an unholy vine whose flowers resemble an orchid's. Bright yellow with splashes of purple, these flowers expel a musk that attracts prey. A yellow musk creeper destroys the minds of humanoids, then implants a bulb in those it kills, turning them into a yellow musk zombie." End quote. All
Really
sinister.
terrifying.
Yeah. Yes. Very terrifying. Very sinister. Which we'll get into just how terrifying and sinister these things actually are through the editions. But Dungeon Mistress Jayde, can you tell us a little bit about some of the real world inspiration for these?
I sure can. Yeah, so given that there's like so much folklore and literature based on real life and fictitious plants, it was a bit difficult to find like a real life counterpart for the yellow musk creeper.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, before we get into the folklore and fiction, we kind of have to acknowledge that many of these stories involve man-eating and killer plants that were usually rooted rooted in colonialism and xenophobia.
Oh, geez. We're starting off strong.
Yeah. So a lot of these early like fiction stories of course take place in quote unquote exotic places, aka anywhere that's not Europe or North America.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And much of this, xenophobia stems
stems. All right.
from a fear of the unknown, as people, aka the colonizers, traveled to quote unquote new places in search of adventure.
Yes. Oh, look, undiscovered. Nobody's here. Yes, I've heard that one before.
Yeah. Many of these stories were based on real life trees and plants that were usually sensationalized by the authors. The earliest of these stories was an article published in the New York World in 1874 titled "The Man-Eating Tree of Madagascar."
Oh.
Yep. The anonymously published article featured a letter written by Karl Leche, a
Mm.
supposed German explorer and quote unquote eminent botanist.
Mhm.
And he was writing to his botanist colleague, Dr. Omelius Friedlowski. Um,
Mm.
if those aren't the fakest German names I've ever heard,
Yes, I'd like to
I
see
don't know
their
what.
credentials. I'd like to see some degrees, Dr. Friedlowski. Hmm.
In the letter, Leche provides a report on the local Mkodo tribe, a group of pygmy
Oh,
cannibals
there it is. There it is.
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm,
Mhm. Mhm.
who take Leche to see a sacrificial ritual of a woman to a man-eating tree the tribe worshipped.
Of course, as one does when one is in an exotic locale.
Mhm, mhm.
Heavy air quotes
Leche
here.
heavy, heavy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Leche gives a horrific account of a demonically intelligent tree with serpent-like tendrils that wrap around the woman and crush her to death.
Lovely.
The story, of course, was later proven false. um, and actually, it was proven false by a whistleblower who worked at the New York World and exposed a fellow journalist, Edmund Spencer, who was the actual author.
Nice. Nice. You
Yeah.
gotta love when real journalists are, blowing the whistle on yellow journalists next to them.
Yeah.
Like, hi,
Um,
that's fake. Would you like to comment?
of course, that didn't really matter because that article was pretty much ignored, mainly because the story of the man-eating tree of Madagascar was so popular. And unfortunately, it did inspire other stories involving quote unquote exotic plants.
Mm.
And much of these stories evolved along with the science of botany. And later on, with the creation of greenhouses, which allowed those in more temperate climates to grow plants that could only survive in tropical climates. A lot of these stories then became less about travelers going to faraway lands and more about the faraway lands finding its way back to the quote unquote Western world.
I don't know if that's better or worse, honestly. Like,
Mhm. It's about the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Little column A, little column B. Yeah. Anytime I hear exotic, I'm like,
Yeah, just red flag
Yes,
immediately.
yes.
One of these more prominent stories is actually a short story that features a plant that's more closer in relationship to our yellow musk creeper rather than a tree that has tendrils.
Hmm. Hmm.
This short story is actually a horror story written by the renowned sci-fi writer H.G. Wells,
Ooh.
published in 1894. It's titled "The Flowering of the Strange Orchid." It centers around a strange man named Winter Wedderburn. That's the only name they give. I think that's his last name.
That's a name.
He has a hobby of buying and cultivating uh, rare orchids. And one day, after complaining to his housekeeper that nothing cool ever happens to
Yeah,
him,
real subtle foreshadowing there, HG. Real
real
subtle.
subtle, yeah. Winter Wedderburn purchases a batch of different orchid seeds gathered by a orchid collector who died on the job and whose body was found drained of blood. Again, real subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah, what is this? Little Shop of Horrors? Come on.
Evil plant? Evil?
Evil
Who
plant?
would have guessed?
Eating blood? Okay. All right.
Anyway, Winter Wedderburn recognizes all the seeds except for one, hoping to discover a new species. He excitedly takes all the seeds to his greenhouse
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
plant and grow. This strange seed grows very quickly, and over the next few days, the greenhouse begins to fill with a thickly sweet smell, and all the other plants around it die.
Okay. Good. Very normal.
uh, Finally, one day, Winter Wedderburn enters the greenhouse to find that the orchid has finally bloomed. The flowers were white with streaks of gold and purple, and the air was heavy with that strong, sweet smell. So much so that it caused Winter Wedderburn to pass out.
Man, it's too bad nothing cool ever happens to this guy.
Nothing cool. The orchid collector's housekeeper becomes concerned when he doesn't show up for afternoon tea and goes looking for him in his greenhouse. She finds him on the ground with the evil orchid's roots tangled around his body, sucking the blood out of him.
Oh, I mean, okay. All right.
Luckily, the housekeeper is able to save him in time by breaking the window of the greenhouse and freezing the plant to death.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like
it's funny at the end of the story. He's just like, "Wow, something cool happened to me today."
I mean, honestly, that's a strangely well-adjusted response. I would be like,
No, Justin, I don't know. That seems a little crazy to me.
yeah, she'd be like, oh, no, I guess something cool happened. I'd be like, oh, okay, sure. Cool that's a word for it, sure.
Yeah, not my most favorite H.G. Wells story. It's pretty on the nose about everything. Looking at the orchid in this story, it's not exactly the same as our yellow musk creeper. But there are some significant similarities between the two, including the color patterns and the pungent smell that knocks out a victim before the orchid can prey upon them.
That's the big one.
Yeah, that's one of the big tropes. But none of these stories give us a real world counterpart for the yellow musk creeper. There's no, carnivorous plants that do all of the things the yellow musk creeper does. I mean, there's some plants that, attract prey with smell and other ones that like capture them.
Yeah.
But never all at once. But the closest thing that we could think of that's like the yellow musk creeper in our world is cordyceps.
Oh, yes, the infamous cordyceps. Jayde, can you tell us a little bit more about this just lovely, lovely little fungus?
Yeah, now I know cordyceps are technically fungus, and not a flower, but compared to our fictional flower, they are practically one and the same. There are different types of cordyceps all over the world, but the most well known is called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, or the zombie ant fungus. Found in tropical rainforests, this fungus produces spores that travel through the air until they land on its unsuspecting host, usually affecting ants from the Camponotini tribe.
And then what happens?
The spore begins to burrow into the ant's body and take over its nervous system, controlling it to move to a safer location.
Oh, God.
There, the zombie ant will clamp down on the spot with its mandibles and die, allowing the fungus to fully mature, using the ant as sustenance. This horrifying process actually takes place over 4 to 10 days, up to the ant's death.
Ooh.
And the ant is still conscious without having control over its body.
To quote the American animated sitcom Family Guy, damn nature, you scary.
Yeah. So this is the kind of the closest thing we have to the yellow musk creeper. And either way, we can see a lot of where the inspiration for the yellow musk creeper came from. But now let's take a look at how they evolved throughout the editions of D&D.
Yes. So, like a number of monsters that become staples in D&D, the yellow musk creeper does not actually appear in the original white box set. It actually doesn't appear in any of the supplements of the very first edition era. There's something called yellow mold that appears in the white box set, but that's different. We'll talk about that in another episode. So the first time that the yellow musk creeper appears in D&D is actually in the 1981 Fiend Folio. At this point, we have progressed into advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I've got to say, I love the artwork for all of the renditions of the yellow musk creeper, because I assume the designers were like, how in the world do you make a flower look scary? And the answer they came up with is bones.
Bones.
Yeah, bones. In this case, the creeper plant is featured growing out of a humanoid skull.
Oh,
That's
lovely.
yeah, exactly, right? That's kind of unsettling. The appearance of the creeper is described as a quote large light green plant with leaves like ivy, dark green buds, and flowers like those of an orchid, bright yellow in color with splashes of purple. End quote. It is a climbing plant, typically found in the quote soily areas underground. End quote. Do with that what you will, or in the heart of thick forests. It is said that some people plant it deliberately to guard treasure. Not because it knows it is, but because it will kill anything that tries to get too close to the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
The flower itself does have some interesting stats. While its health is low with only 3 hit dice, it does have a rather impressive armor class of 7. Now, of course, modern 5th edition players will be saying, 7? That's not high. Well, compare that to our favorite little guys, the goblins, who had an armor class of 6. Right? So it's easier to hit a goblin than it is one of these flowers. How is that possible, you ask? Well, this can be explained by the fact that the only way to kill the yellow musk creeper is to stab it at its bulbous root, which is usually found buried a foot under the ground. Lore states that the creeper actually scrapes the soil over its roots in order to cover the evidence of its previous victims. So not only is it hard to get to the actual plant, it covers its tracks when it murders people that tried to kill it.
So maybe it does know what it's guarding.
Yeah, yes, possibly. At any rate, it knows it's guarding itself, right?
Mm.
Another impressive fact about the creeper is that though it technically only appears in counts of 1, it's still a pretty big specimen. It's actually classified as a large creature, and it extends over an area up to a 20-foot square. It is said to grow in a rhizomatous fashion, which basically means that its main root grows horizontally outwards, and it can sprout subroots that grow into separate plants with their own roots. With the entire organism having 2 to 12 flowers and 1 to 4 buds. Similar to other types of orchids, the creeper has what are called aerial roots. And these are just roots that grow out of the ground and are exposed to the air. In terms of combat, the creeper is actually a pretty nasty plant. It first entices its victim to come closer by hypnotically swaying with its flowers. Once the victim gets within 10 feet of it, the flowers will roll an attack to puff a musky dust straight into the victim's face. On a successful hit, the victim must make a saving throw against a magic effect. On a failed save, the victim will be entranced, which will make it use the remainder of its melee round to walk right into this mass of hanging plants. All attempts to restrain the player will be resisted.
No, Andy, maybe it's just me, but in my gamer instincts, if I saw a flower waving its petals at me, I'm turning around.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
exactly. It's like, I don't like that. Goodbye. Now, once a victim gets close enough, the creeper's aerial roots will wrap around the victim's head, and the plant will start devouring their brain at a rate of 1 to 4 intelligence points per round.
Great.
Yeah, great, normal plant things. Other creatures around it can attempt to get the roots off to stop the intelligence drain by attacking them. And there's no max amount of damage that is stated that is required to do this. But because there are so many roots at the heart of the plant, it is nearly impossible to do this in any way that's going to be effective. As I said before, the only way to really kill a yellow musk creeper is by stabbing its root. But getting to that root is difficult because it's under the ground.
Mhm.
Now,
And surrounded by hungry plants that have many tendrils.
yeah, exactly, right. If you manage to dig it up, good luck being able to actually attack it before the plant, starts eating your brain.
Mhm.
If the victim is able to escape the creeper's roots at the end of the round without its intelligence dropping to a 2 or below, then this intelligence loss is temporary and can be regained at the rate of 1 point per day of rest. The heal spell will restore all points immediately, so that's nice. However, not so nice if, after 1 round, the victim's intelligence stat is reduced to 0 or below 0, then they just die.
Yeah. gone.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. But even worse, if their intelligence is reduced to 1 or 2 by the end of the round, then the victim immediately turns into a yellow musk zombie. The victim's skin will turn yellow, and their eyes will glaze over, fixed in place. The creeper stops draining the victim and injects a seed into the victim's skull. So while the yellow musk zombie really doesn't look too scary health-wise, considering it only has 2 hit points, it's pretty terrifying when you learn that the 2 hit points only pertains to melee attacks,
Mhm.
and that the zombie retains the same hit points, armor, weapons, and belongings that add on to that from before the victim was turned. Um, Luckily for any players that are watching this unfold, the yellow musk zombie cannot use any spells or psionic abilities that the victim had before, and it will not retain the previous bonuses to dexterity or wisdom. But it will retain any bonuses or penalties to strength that this poor soul had in life. So, if it's a wizard, great. If it's a barbarian, we're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, bad time.
So now in this edition, the yellow musk zombie is not actually categorized as an undead monster, and therefore cannot be turned or destroyed or controlled by a cleric. Like undead, however, this zombie is immune to mind influencing spells like charm, hold, illusion, sleep, etc. This makes sense since the plant already has a hold over the zombie's mind. But little inconvenient for the divine magic users that think they can get one over on this plant. To
Yeah, it
find
gets all the benefits of a zombie, but none of the bad things.
Yeah, none of the drawbacks. None of the drawbacks.
Yeah.
Now, each yellow musk creeper will have 1 yellow musk zombie for every 2 flowers. This means a creeper can have between 1 to 6 zombies protecting it at one time. A yellow musk zombie will protect the parent plant for up to 2 months, and attempt to find new victims for the plant to control. After this time, similar to the cordyceps ant, the zombie will wander away from the parent plant to find a quiet place to die, which by die we of course mean collapse into a nasty pile of offal and filth. The embedded seed will then sprout from the corpse and grow within an hour into a new yellow musk creeper.
Within an hour, that's insane.
Yes, it's the circle of life. Anyway, uh, there is some hope for adventurers whose friend was turned into a yellow musk zombie. The zombie can be cured by first killing the master plant. Super easy, we know, as we said. And then using a neutralized poison and a heal spell. Cast one after the other in any order. After which the victim will mostly be restored to their former selves, but will still need 4 weeks of rest before being fully recovered.
Which always is strange to me thinking about like first edition, where you have to actually take like real in-game days to do this. Same thing with the Gorgon and the ethereal plane. Like those are real world in-game time.
Yeah, which I kind of like that. There are definitely times where 5th edition, I think rightfully so, can be criticized for maybe being a bit too superhero-y with how
Mm.
resilient PCs can be. But at the same time, as a DM, it is nice to keep the story going. So, kind of whatever you want to do, DMs. Have fun with it.
Yeah. I usually just skip time.
That's right. Time
It's
skip.
2 weeks. It's a day later. Who knows?
Yes. Call me One Piece the way I'm skipping time.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so let's get into second edition, which has a lot in it. Usually, the yellow musk creeper doesn't show up in a lot of supplements, especially in later editions. But for second edition, it was pretty popular. In second edition, the yellow musk creeper and the yellow musk zombie first appear in the 1989 Mistress Compendium, Volume 2. This version does retain much of the same information as the previous edition, with some minor tweaks and additions here and there. Before we get into that, I do want to mention how freaking cool the artwork is for this creeper, because it's probably my favorite out of all of them. Like later ones are not as cool as this one. It's so in the picture, it's the vine with a drooping flower at the end, and hanging off the vine is the lower jawbone of a humanoid.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, sick as hell.
Yeah. This just goes to show that you can make anything scary if you add enough bones.
That is true. Just add bones.
Yeah, just more bones.
Scary. So yeah, lore wise, we get more information about how the creeper behaves that, in my opinion, is more befitting of a plant. Rather than entrancing the victim to come closer in order to spray it with its musky smelling pollen, it acts more like a typical carnivorous plant, and simply attacks anything bigger than a house cat that comes within 10 feet of it.
Yeah,
So same
that's
as
yeah.
same as like a Venus flytrap. When it gets in there, then it closes.
Well, and I like how there's that distinction too, because it's like if something too small comes by, it's like, what do you want me to do with that? Right?
Yeah,
Like a
not worth
mouse,
it.
not worth it, right? House cat or bigger though, I'm nomming.
Delicious.
Delicious. And nutritious.
And this spray is an attack roll, and on a successful hit, the victim must make a saving throw versus a spell, or be forced to walk into the middle of the plant where it will be restrained while the creeper attempts to turn it into a zombie.
Yeah. No,
But
that makes more sense. Like evolutionarily for a plant. That just seems like a more I don't want to say natural, but like a more understandable luring and attack pattern. I like this.
yeah, it's definitely, like I said, more akin to the real world counterparts of carnivorous plants.
Which makes it scarier.
No, the damn nature, you
Yeah,
scary.
damn nature, you're scary.
Uh, creepers, however, can only make zombies out of medium-sized humanoids. So no
Mm.
small, no huge, yellow musk zombies, luckily.
Yeah,
These,
luckily.
we'll worry
Jeez.
about that later, actually.
That's right. Yes, yellow musk zombie ogre. Oh dear God.
Oh Lord. These yellow musk zombies are able to move up to 100 feet away from the main plant and will remain in service of the main plant until about 2 months later, where then they will move at least 200 feet away from the main plant to again die and create a new yellow musk creeper plant. The lore also fixes, in my opinion, the fact that the previous creeper was somehow smart enough to cover up the bones and belongings of previous victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's the zombies that do that job, which
Yeah.
makes so much more sense, especially for a plant with zero intelligence.
Yeah. No, that makes much more sense. And I just want to say, thanks Shantae, they are too dumb to become wizards.
Too dumb to become wizards. Yeah, that's definitely for the best. This plant is scary enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and this version also changes the number of flowers and buds from 2 to 12 and 1 to 4 to 2d6 and 1d4 respectively. This is most likely to make the number of zombies that appear a little more random, which is still 2 per flower, but you still have to roll how many flowers there are.
Yes. And we all know how much DMs enjoy rolling our dice.
My dice are scary.
Yes, roll for flower.
Roll for flower. Combat wise, the yellow musk creeper and zombie are generally the same as first edition. The main addition is the inclusion of different types of damage that can affect the creeper.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, quote, the creeper can be cut back with slashing weapons, burnt, frozen, or otherwise by anything that would harm a vine. So obviously, whatever you're going to kill a plant with is going to hurt the creeper.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I like that. As a
Yeah.
person being attacked by a plant that wants to kill me, it's nice to know that things that kill plants will kill this plant.
It'd be horrifying if it didn't.
Yeah. It's like, well, at least I know how to kill a normal plant. So,
Of course, these vines and roots can grow back from the main root, and
Mm.
points of damage are not recorded unless damage is done directly to the main root, which is again under the soil,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty much exactly the same as first edition. But yeah, it is scary cutting back all of these roots, and it doesn't matter because you still have to kill the main plant.
Yeah, which I don't know what's worse, immortal plant or plant that you keep attacking and the attacks work, but also it just keeps coming back.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know. Gives me Jumanji vibes, which I like as a DM, but as a player, I do not like.
It is a good puzzle though. You're like, "Oh, these attacks are it's a very common DM thing to have a monster that can be hurt by certain
Mhm.
attacks and the players have to figure out how that works, you know?"
Yeah, yeah, and true. And while it is, it can be frustrating as a player, once you figure out the thing, you're like, "Ah, that's it. All right, well played, DM." And you're like, "Yes, I came up
Yeah.
with myself. Totally, totally."
Totally. In addition to Monstrous Compendium, the Yellow Musk Creeper appears in actually three issues, but more prominently in two issues of Dungeon Magazine.
Not to be
Issues number,
confused with Dragon Magazine. That's different.
yes, different. In Dungeon Magazine, issues number 17 and number 29. Um, like Andy said, as you all remember, Dragon Magazine gave us additions to the lore side of D&D. Dungeon Magazine gave us, well, more dungeons
Mhm,
and
mhm.
adventures to use that said lore. So, in issue number 17, it is a mini adventure created by Greg Kramer titled The Waiting Room of Yen Wang Ye,
Mm.
in which the unholy plant is not only featured, but I would say is one of the main stars of the module, which I was
Mm.
not expecting actually.
Yeah, yeah, especially based off of the name of the module. I thought, when we were first reading through it, that it was going to be more about this like deity, that's mentioned, but no, it's really mostly about this evil plant.
It that in like the cult of the deity,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, yeah. I'll shut up. Tell us more about it, Jade.
So the players in this module are charged with finding an important NPC named Otomo Minbu, who was on a mission to retrieve the remains of the Gosen family's youngest son, Gosen Tadahiro. Tadahiro had become a religious hermit of the god of death, Yen Wang Ye, and is said to have been buried in the tombs of that order. I don't know why they want to go dig him up, but you know.
Excuse me, could you go dig up our son? I
uh,
guess. Sure. You paying? Yeah.
Uh, once the party finally gets to the tomb, they find Otomo Minbu, who has been turned into a yellow musk zombie along with his fellow warriors. So the PCs have to go find an NPC who's finding this bones of this hermit who did not want to be found.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the players must figure out how to save Minbu and the other warriors. Um, without killing Minbu,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is the only way to do that is to kill the yellow musk creeper. So again, like we were talking about before, the players have to figure out around all of these puzzles, and especially in this module, which is based off a larger supplement called now. Bear with me with the name. It's called Oriental Adventures.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's heavily inspired by Japanese culture,
Mhm.
which
Mhm. Mhm.
which honestly, like reading through, I was expecting a lot of,
A lot of
stereotypes and
tropes. Mhm.
yeah. But honestly, I feel like especially this module by Kramer has been very respectful of
Yeah.
the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and in Oriental Adventures and this module, they actually have a I wanna say it's like an honor system.
Yeah. I think it is specifically called an honor system.
Yeah, where you gain and lose points depending on how you interact with NPCs, and you will lose significant points if you kill Minbu and don't attempt to save him.
Yeah. And what's interesting here, especially in kind of the change to how the yellow musk zombies operate mechanically, and how that reflects on the intelligence or lack of intelligence of the actual yellow musk creeper. Minbu and these warriors who are zombies, they set up a whole like feint and attack and bait type scene to try to get
Mhm.
your players to come closer to the actual creeper so that I can turn them into zombies. Like it specifically states that Minbu, who is a samurai, he does an attack and purposely misses to try to get your players to come in and fight them. It's really cool. I would highly recommend reading the actual story in the module. It's very plant is diabolical.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Like Kramer came up with a lot of cool stuff for the yellow musk creeper that you do not see anywhere else.
Yeah,
On top of that, he adds other mechanics. For example, if the players destroy the yellow musk creeper, the yellow musk zombies actually become docile, so they don't return to their normal form. They become docile,
mhm, mhm.
and you can keep them alive for 2 weeks by force feeding them until you can find a cure.
Yeah, eat bread. Wah.
So that kind of he kind of fixes that part where it's like, oh well, if we kill the plant and we also have to heal them, like what's that time in between? What do we
Mhm.
do with them? The zombies can be cured with a combination of neutralize poison and heal spells, or the module states that an elixir of health can be used instead.
Much more convenient.
Yeah, definitely. And so somewhat different from the compendium, but overall, it is just a really interesting use of the creeper. And like I said, forces the players to figure out, deduce how to maneuver around this zombie attacking them, but also trying to keep their honor system.
Yeah, because with this honor system, it's really hard to be a murder hobo. It even
Mhm.
specifically states that like if you kill enough of the important NPCs that you're supposed to find, you will just be executed upon returning to the quest giver.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes you have a vested interest in keeping these guys alive.
Yeah. And then so the next issue of Dungeon Magazine number 29 is a module by Randy Maxwell titled Ex Libris,
Mm, mhm,
in
mhm.
which players are hired by the Silvery Moon Town Library to
Mm.
find the ruins of Bard Keep, an ancient library which doubled as a temple to Agama, the god of knowledge, invention, and of course the patron of
Of
bards.
course, of course.
hmm hmm the adventurers must find and explore the ruins and recover any magical or sage lore tomes. Everything else they can keep.
Yes,
So
everything
it's
else,
good.
which is totally not cursed in any way. No, 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 no.
uh, um, while in the ruins, the players will come across a hydroponic garden.
Very cool.
Uh, Presumably, it's used by the sage and priest to essentially touch grass without actually having to leave the keep.
Yes, me when I want to touch grass, but I really need to, read these books. Oh, what if I just brought the grass inside my library? Problem solved.
Honestly, good loophole. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I say presumably, but actually, I'm not joking. The module literally says the garden was specifically created to allow the sages to stretch and get some fresh air without leaving the library.
That's awesome. I love it.
So even better.
Yep. Good job, game designers. You know what nerds really want.
And the hydroponic garden is really cool. So on the inside of walls of the garden, there are permanent magical illusions that make the garden look and sound like as if they were on a tropical island.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So just bird sounds, wave
hmm
sounds, all of that.
Very zen.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, without mages who used to live there, the plants have now grown out of control in this garden. And the more dangerous plants that were once, cultivated for medicinal and spell purposes are now running wild.
Yeah,
In
that
one
tracks.
Yeah, in one area there are 5 tanks that once contained these deadly plants, 3 of which contain the yellow musk creeper.
Dear God. 3.
Yeah. 3 tanks. Yeah,
Mm,
3 different
it's
plants.
not good.
Now, because of the lack of life in the library, there are no yellow musk creeper zombies. So none of those two attack the group. However, that just means these carnivorous plants are all the more hungry and will immediately attack any PC or NPC that gets too close.
Oh, good.
And actually, they will attack in tandem with other dangerous carnivorous plants that are in the tanks as well.
Mm. Oh no.
Definitely giving me Barrier Peak vibes. I would not be surprised if Froghemoth were to show up at any moment.
You see, the clever DM will run this module right after they run Barrier Peaks, so that they can maximize the amount of trauma that they can inflict on their players.
Oh lord, what horrors are coming next? Which I actually didn't finish reading the module, so I don't know if there's more horrors coming next, but I do know that there are many dangerous carnivorous plants in this garden.
Yes. Yes, including something called a man trap, which is just a big Venus flytrap that eats people.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. Finally, the Yellow Musk Creeper gets some honorable mentions in a few other modules in second edition, including a short module in Dungeon number 30 featuring our favorite wizard, Elminster.
Of course. Of course.
The module is titled Elminster's Back Door and was, of course, written by our other favorite wizard, Ed Greenwood.
You know, the title of that plus some of Ed Greenwood's writings, I have questions, but you know.
Honestly, the premise of the story is that they go to knock on the front door. Elminster doesn't answer, so they're like, "Oh, let's go to the back door," which is a horrible idea because Elminster is a little bit paranoid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, he's got a lot of things going on in his lab and his library.
Yeah.
So they have to get through a bunch of booby traps, which the module specifically mentions a creature there called the Berber, which Elminster has bred and magically augmented to detect and neutralize poisons from plants, like the yellow musk creeper, by eating them. So,
You
no
know,
honorable mention of the yellow musk creeper, but it's not featured.
yeah, but I do appreciate that, like, it's basically his guard dog, but instead of, guarding from, like, creatures, it's like, no, I just eat these poisonous plants. That's
So
it.
no chance of poisoning Elminster, which I don't think you had a chance in the first place, but
Yeah, we just made doubly sure with this, chimera that is maybe cute. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't really look at what a Berber looks like, but
Yeah,
maybe we'll
maybe.
find out
I hope
in
so.
another episode.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So, a couple other honorable mentions. In second edition, the Yellow Musk Creeper and its zombie are also used as wandering monster encounters in the module Black Courser and the module 4 for Cormyr, which I mainly wanted to mention because the cover for 4 from Cormyr actually features our good friend, the Gorgamera.
Nice.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
doing my research looking for the Yellow Musk Creeper, and I just saw the book, and I'm like, is that the Gorgamera? So
Yeah, which by all
just wanted to mention
accounts,
that.
your players would probably fare better against the Yellow Musk Creeper of this edition than the Gorgamera. So, do with that what you will.
I don't know, both are pretty scary.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
I don't
both are
know which one
horrifying.
I would want to face.
Yeah, both of those, like, you're probably gonna have a party member die, but
Mhm.
probably less against the Yellow Musk Creeper. But
Especially if you go against the Yellow Musk zombies in the first module we
ooh,
mentioned.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
those things are scary.
Yeah, very scary. Speaking of scary, we now move on to third edition, where we find the Yellow Musk Creeper and friends in the updated 3.5 version of the Fiend Folio. Now, everyone, say it with me. Third
Third
edition goes hard.
hard.
Yes. All right. I want you to listen to this opening description of the Yellow Musk Creeper. Quote, a yellow musk creeper is an immense climbing plant with long, grasping green tendrils and large, vibrant leaves. Beautiful yellow and purple orchid-like flowers positioned throughout the creature's body emit a heady, entrancing odor. The plant's musk draws victims to the heart of the creeper, where hungry, naturally sharp vines probe at its head, extracting brain matter in gluttonous gulps. Drained victims become yellow musk zombies, mindless servants who care for this insidious plant. End quote.
Truly, truly. 3.5 edition, they just know how to describe monsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's like,
good.
okay, I have an idea of what this is, and, I'm scared of it. Obviously that lore is pretty intense, pretty scary. But I gotta say, the Yellow Musk Creeper gets some updates in its 3.5 stats, and these stats are scary as hell. Unlike in previous editions, the Yellow Musk Creeper is categorized as a huge plant, not large, a huge plant, which in 3.5 terms means the creature is between 16 to 32 feet in height or length. But the creeper can actually get up to gargantuan status, which is between 32 to 64 feet in height
That's
or length.
scary.
Yeah,
It's just a
gigantic.
jungle in itself.
Basically. Its average health stat is 57 hit points, and it has a high AC of 17. Now, to be clear, I assume that this high AC is because the bulk of the actual plant is underground. Would you agree, Jayde?
I mean, if we're keeping to previous editions, then yes,
Mm-hmm.
but
So,
I'm not sure.
here's my question. If the players dig into the ground, right, and get rid of the all the dirt and stuff surrounding the plant,
Mhm. Mhm.
does this AC decrease?
That is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as a DM, I probably rule it that way. But it definitely doesn't say anything about that. That's a really good question.
Yeah, right? Because I would as well, but you know what? We'll leave that for the 3.5 sages and DMs to come in on. Please weigh in on the comments.
Yeah,
Um,
comment on Spotify and Patreon.
yeah, Spotify, Patreon, and wherever else you find this. So now the creeper has some new abilities, which are blind sight, some plant traits, and better regeneration. Blind sight means that it uses sight, hearing, and smelling to locate a creature within 30 feet of it, which also includes invisible creatures. Keep in mind my rogues out there who are getting some invisibility spells cast on them. Now, I'm not really sure how that works considering the plant does not have eyes, ears, or a nose, but
You know.
I digress. Like the great Jeff Goldblum once said, nature finds a way. Now, plant traits mean that the creeper is, quote, immune to poison, sleep, paralysis, stunning, and polymorphing. Very interesting, end quote. Additionally, the plant is not affected by anything that alters the mind, makes sense,
Mm.
and is not subject to critical hits.
I'm sorry. No
I
crits?
know. It really seems kind of unfair, but
How the hell are you supposed to hit it?
yeah. I don't know. Finally, the creeper has regeneration, meaning that damage done to it is treated as non-lethal damage. And the creature can automatically heal non-lethal damage at a fixed rate per round. For the Yellow Musk Creeper, its regeneration is 5, so it can heal non-lethal damage at a rate of 5 hit points per round. However, as you would say in Pokemon, fire and acid damage are super effective and therefore are treated as lethal damage. Now, this is an important point. The creeper cannot restore hit points lost from natural effects like starvation, thirst, or suffocation. So at least there's a little bit of help to your PCs if they come across a musk creeper that has been in a bad situation or is very hungry for a long time. So now, the creeper, it sees all, it heals all, but does it deal all? Well, the answer to that question is a big fat yes. Not only is the creeper's defense high, but its attacks are just as powerful. This version of the Yellow Musk Creeper still has its same attacks, but with some more terrifying additions. 3.5's Yellow Musk Creeper's attack, now called Musk Puff, allows I
The names could use some work.
yeah, exactly. We got the lore, the names, not so much. But still, our musk puff allows the creeper to spray a quote potent smelling dust on one creature within 30 feet once per round. This creature must then make a fortitude saving throw with a DC or difficulty class of 18 or be compelled to move closer to the source of the musk. The victim cannot take any actions other than moving into the plant space and will do anything to comply with this compulsion. And this is new compared to previous editions, even attacking allies who attempt to restrain them. Once in the middle of the plant, it will drop anything it is holding and will let the creeper attack it without resistance. This effect can last a whopping 2d8 rounds.
Insane.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'll just be here for 16 rounds, just letting this thing wail on me. However, if the creature is already in the middle of the plant, then this effect will last until the creature has moved away from the creeper, assuming it has not been killed before that time. Jayde, can you tell us a little bit about what happens when a poor, unsuspecting creature finds its way into the middle of this mass of vines and buds?
Mhm. Yeah, so once the victim is within the middle of the creeper space, it will use its attack Consume Intelligence, which is similar to previous editions with all the more brutal description, which says, quote, as a free action, a yellow musk creeper can extend dozens of probing, sharp-edged tendrils into the head of any helpless or unresisting creature that also occupies its space. These tendrils begin to devour the victim's brain, dealing 1d4 points of intelligence damage each round.
Oh my god.
Mhm, mhm.
That is metal as fuck.
It's very similar to 2E, but just the language is turned up so high.
Yeah, the language is
Scary.
very hostile.
Mhm. The description also states that the only way to stop the intelligence drain is by either killing the creeper or killing the victim.
Oh! Oh, that's so dark. Imagine, right? You're a player and you have to make the decision to kill your friend so that they don't get their brain eaten.
Oh, Andy, don't worry. It gets worse.
Oh no.
So, if the victim's intelligence falls to 0, they are given the option to make a fortitude saving throw, but it's more of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation because on a failed saving throw, the victim dies immediately and becomes sustenance for the plant to later snack on.
Terrible.
But on a successful saving throw, the victim becomes a yellow musk zombie.
Oh, that's on a success.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
no.
it's kind of a success, but because you're still kind of alive, but even still,
Oh,
you gotta kill the plan. You gotta get your friend. You gotta heal
yeah.
them, which we'll tell you how to do that
Yeah.
later. But so for the yellow musk zombie, 3.5 actually gives us a stat block that can be applied to any creature that physiologically has a brain and an intelligence score.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Still scary, but
Mhm.
kind of cool.
So the creature is now considered a plant and retains most of its base stats and abilities. Usually the stats pertaining to the race of the character,
Mhm.
and as well as the weapons and armor it had on before it changed. The stats that do change are the creature's HP, which changes to a D8, and its natural armor is increased by 2.
Okay, that's kind of nice compared to the previous edition where it's like, yeah, it's just the same thing, but
It's just
worse.
the same. Well, it did have 2, what was it, 2 hit points, I
Yeah.
think, but still, you had to get in close and hit it
Yeah.
with melee.
Yeah.
And the zombie in this one, its intelligence is dropped to a 2, and its wisdom and dexterity changed to a 10, unless those stats were already low to begin with.
Fair, fair.
Mhm. It can use the weapons and armor that it had on, but it cannot use magical devices or any of its class abilities, skills, or feats it had. So you can't use the rogue abilities, but it still can stab you with its dagger.
Yeah, no sneak attack, but it's still gonna stab you.
The folio shows how this template can be used by using orcs as an example. It shows the base stat block of an orc with the changes mentioned previously, keeping racial features like the orc's sensitivity to light. The rest of the information is the same as previous editions, where the zombie will protect the parent plant for 2 months and then leave and die and make a new yellow musk creeper, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
And also similar to previous editions, the only way to cure a yellow musk zombie is to one, kill its host plant,
Of course.
and then two, find a quote cleric of at least 12th level.
12th level.
12th level, and it must cast regenerate or heal on the character before the implanted seed germinates.
Gotcha. So less hope for your friends getting rezzed in this edition. Jeez.
Yeah, but you do at least have 2 months in game, so I feel like that would be enough time for the DM to be like, yeah, you come across a cleric 12th level. You gotta pay a lot, but
Yeah, it's really gonna depend on like what level your players are, if this is gonna work or not.
Yeah.
Because yes, high level healing spells are expensive. Now, 4th edition. There's no
4th edition.
Yeah, it's for all of the extra things that are added into 4th edition, the yellow musk creeper is not one of them. It doesn't exist.
I was so ready to rage against the lore that they were gonna give the yellow musk creeper, but it's just not there.
No, it's not there.
Which it's honestly kind of sad, Andy, because for all the bad things they do to the lore sometimes, 4th edition had those cool, different stat blocks of different character or creatures.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping for like a blue musk creeper or a red musk creeper that had different, maybe a fire ability, a wind ability, something cool like that, but we don't get any of that.
Yeah, I was waiting for the yellow musk creeper brawler, the yellow musk creeper strategist. And yeah, we just didn't get that, sad.
Brawler.
Yeah. It balls its vines up into fists and it says, "Come at me."
Just becomes a shambling mound.
That's right. It shambles at you menacingly. But smells really nice. Yeah. So yeah, kind of a fumble on the part of 4th edition, but at least the designers in 5th edition remembered that this wonderfully horrifying creature existed and managed to bring it back into modern D&D. Now, that being said, the yellow musk creeper actually doesn't appear in any of the core supplements in 5th edition, and it doesn't even make an appearance in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, which kind of compiles a lot of the disparate creatures and monsters and things that are between different supplements that come before that. The only place it shows up is in the module Tomb of Annihilation. Now, for those of you who have never played the module, or adventures that take place in this part of the Forgotten Realms, the module is set in Chult. And Chult is a tropical peninsula that is covered in jungles that are filled with rampaging undead, hostile plant and animal life, and dinosaurs. Lots and lots of dinosaurs.
Sorry, dinosaurs?
Yes. In Chult, they're also referred to as thunder lizards and the children of Upteo, but that is for a different episode. I think the reason
I always forget that dinosaurs are a part of D&D.
Yeah.
Even from the white box edition, there's dinosaurs.
Yeah, which I love the lore speculation behind that, which is basically the designers were like, "Hey, I have these dinosaur toys from my children, but I want to use them against the knights and wizards in my party. I'm just going to do that."
I mean, that's how the Bullywug came into being,
It's
so.
true, right? Thank you, Gary Gygax, for having random, I assume, plastic dinosaurs somewhere in your house that you sicked on your players. Well
They
done.
were definitely Luke Gygax's toys for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Now, I think that the reason for this choice in 5th edition is that the designers intended for the Yellow Musk Creeper to be a Chult-specific monster. With the goal here being to add to the overall hostile and brutal feel of the setting. As we kind of mentioned earlier, Tomb of Annihilation is supposed to be a meat grinder. It's supposed to kill lots
Mhm.
of your player characters, kind of in a harkening back to previous D&D editions. But in my opinion, this really does a disservice to all of the weird and random places that the Yellow Musk Creeper showed up in previous editions. So I personally wish they would have promoted it to be a more common monster, but
Mhm.
whatever. The 5th edition Yellow Musk Creeper is a medium-sized plant that is unaligned, has no alignment. It has been demoted to a CR2 creature with an average HP of 60 and, weirdly enough, a max HP of 99. That's kind of beefy for CR2, but it does only have an armor class of 6, so kind of
Which
makes
is
up for
not
it.
high in this case.
No, it is not, right? It's got a lot of hit points, but I mean, you can hit it by sneezing at it. Um, it can still move with both a ground and climbing speed of 5 feet. This edition of the Yellow Musk Creeper has blind sight out to a range of 30 feet, just like previously, but its passive perception is only 10. So if you want to sneak up on it, not that hard. It is also immune to being blinded or deafened. It cannot suffer from exhaustion, and it cannot be knocked prone.
Mhm. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a plant. How are you going to knock a plant prone? Once again, please in the comments, how do you knock a plant on its ass? I have to know. The 5th edition Yellow Musk Creeper has the false appearance trait, which makes it indistinguishable from a normal flower while it remains motionless. It keeps its regeneration feature from 3.5, which lets the Yellow Musk Creeper regenerate, but now at a rate of 10 hit points at the start of each of its turns. And the only way to negate this is if it takes fire, necrotic, or radiant damage. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is a CR2 creature that heals 10 hit points at the start of each of its turns. Keep in mind, it will not die with this feature unless its HP reaches 0 and it can't regenerate.
Which is it's just crazy because, like, level 2 player characters
Yeah.
are not doing that much damage at all.
No.
So just hitting it and not doing any damage sucks, but, at least fire and necrotic and radiant damage are a thing, so shout out to all the players who instinctively try to set every enemy on fire. Looking at you, wizards with fireball.
Yes, this is the time when you should cast Fireball.
Yes.
Now, this Yellow Musk Creeper keeps its signature lure ability, which has now been renamed Yellow Musk. I think it's a lot better than Musk Puff, personally.
Yeah. Mhm.
And this forces all humanoids within 30 feet of it to make a DC 11 Wisdom saving throw. A creature that fails its save is then charmed by the creeper for 1 minute and can only use its turn to get as close to it as possible. In a very kind change from the designers, a creature can repeat the save on the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on a successful save.
But not so kind is that instead of, targeting one creature per round, it just hits everyone within 30 feet. So
Yeah, yeah,
little give and take there.
yeah, right? We have a lower DC. We have the ability to re-roll these, but, with some bad rolls, the entire party could be wandering, entranced toward this extremely evil and unholy flower. Now, where we do see a bit of change in this edition is the Yellow Musk Creeper's signature attack. Thematically, the attack says that it targets the mind of humanoids, the goal being to destroy their mind and then implant a bulb inside their brain. Mechanically, This means the attack does psychic damage, with the special effect being that a humanoid that has its HP reduced to 0 immediately dies and is reanimated as a yellow musk zombie 24 hours later. But unlike previous editions, this attack has no effect on the victim's intelligence. So it's just a normal psychic attack with an insta-death rider.
What? No. 5th edition. You're supposed to redeem the yellow musk creepers, not make them lame.
I know. It takes the proverbial teeth out of the more terrifying creepers of editions gone by.
No. Not just the teeth, Andy. The bones, the muscle, the soul. You're telling me that not only do you have to wait 24 hours for the victim to become a zombie instead of right away, which is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also take away the potential role playing of a creature losing its intelligence points in the middle of battle. That's some 4th edition BS.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I can't. I'm so
Yeah.
mad.
If it's any saving grace, these yellow musk creeper zombies, are not as easily revivable. It says here that if a remove curse is placed upon the dead humanoid before the 24 hours transpire, they don't turn into a zombie, but also they're still dead. So not exactly a fix, right? But easier to negate the effect of them becoming a zombie.
Still kind of lame.
Yeah, it is still. These yellow musk zombies are they're basically just small piles of hit points. They're beefier than your average, normal zombie, with 33 hit points on average instead of 22. And they are slightly harder to hit with a whopping AC of 9 instead of 8. But otherwise, they're mechanically the same. Now, they do keep the undead fortitude trait, which means that there is a chance that if an attack that doesn't use radiance damage brings their hit points to 0, they can tank it and stay up, but they're not that great. I do appreciate that the entry provides alternate stats for a small humanoid that is unfortunate enough to be turned into a yellow musk zombie. However, these stats are pretty much the same as the medium yellow musk zombies, except that the small humanoids have a 66 plus 6 or average of 27 hit points instead of 33. So it's really not that different.
Yeah, very lame.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort, but still sad. Exactly.
Well, that finally brings us to 5.5 edition, or the latest monster manual that's coming out. Of course, once again, at the time of this recording, we're still patiently waiting for 5.5. As we like to call it, get out of here with that one D&D crap. Hate it.
Yeah, no, 5.5.
We all know this is 5.5.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not play. Come on, wizards.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for the monster manual to come out, which Andy, you said you did get a sneak peek of into some of the changes that are coming for the monsters that we know and love.
Yes, kudos to the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel. They have been giving us a lot of not live streams, they're pre-recorded, but interview streams of designers talking about some changes that are coming to different types of monsters. But we've not really gotten anything on the diabolical plants that inhabit the world of Dungeons and Dragons. At least not yet. Today was giants, but no plants yet.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
But what we expect for the yellow musk creeper and its zombie friends, I definitely do not see them appearing in the first core rulebook. Though that would be a pleasant surprise, having its status updated to a more regular monster. Perhaps it'll show up in a later bestiary or in a new Cholton based module, which would be really cool because that side of the Forgotten Realms, that area, besides the Sword Coast, has not really been talked about a lot, and there's not a lot of modules for that, so that'd be cool to see. But as for the changes that I'd like to see in the Yellow Musk Creeper, I mean, you've already heard my gripes about the latest edition. So what I would like to see for Creeper and Zombies is to get back some of its former glory, finding a way to bring back the intelligence loss mechanic, and definitely bring back the immediate zombification of the victim.
Mhm.
I think that's just higher stakes and makes for a cooler battle.
Mhm. Mhm.
As well, I was expecting 5e to do this, which was to change the way the victims are turned back from zombies. I feel like there needs to be more of a balance between simply just using a remove curse spell within 24 hours or in finding a extremely powerful mage that can cast two powerful spells in a row. Um
Yeah.
which you do get 2 months for, but still, I feel like there needs to be a good middle ground.
Yeah, especially, with 5th edition's Yellow Musk Creeper being a CR2 monster, like you're telling me that your level 2 players can afford the services of a high-level spellcaster? I don't think so.
Mm.
I'm with you, Jade. Just like in 5e, I really don't think that the Yellow Musk Creeper is going to be included in the core supplements. I think the designers have kind of made it clear that they wanted it to be a more, location specific monster, which I really want to see them pivot away from, this idea that it only
Mm.
appears in Chalt. Maybe if we could get some more information, some more lore about its origins in Chult, but put it more places, right? Wizards' towers, laboratories, royal greenhouses of mad kings, tombs and graves to deter robbers. The possibilities are out there. And as we talked about with some of the modules from previous editions, this has been done before.
Mhm.
I would also like to see, kind of like you were saying, a damage rider effect that targets a victim's intelligence score to, keep some continuity with previous editions. Maybe it's an effect like, if the attack decreases a target's hit points or intelligence score to 0, it dies and becomes a yellow mouse zombie. Maybe this is, maybe we keep the 3d8 psychic damage, but then put on also a 1, loss of intelligence score with each attack.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, I
Yeah.
think.
Is this scary and more deadly? Absolutely. But will this make an encounter more interesting? Yes. Especially if the party has a hireling NPC that gets taken down first. You can't see it, but I'm doing an evil DM wink towards the camera.
You have many evil DM faces.
I do, I do, I do.
And I have seen some of them, live in action. They are scary.
Yes. One day when we eventually figure out how to do video, then the audience can see that. But until then, just visualize my evil DM faces.
Yep, so that is the yellow musk creeper, folks. It begins as a deadly foe with high stats and deadly attacks. It's kind of squishy, but it's still hard to hurt on account of the fact that it is literally protected by the ground,
Mhm, mhm.
as well as creating powerful undead defenders. The deadliness of the creeper and its zombies are adapted to other editions with different upgrades, different interpretations for each iteration, but all of which are keeping with the base lore. That is, it is a carnivorous plant doing carnivore things.
Mhm, mhm.
The edition's lore often harkens back to real life carnivorous and deadly plants, including the zombie ant fungus, and really brings that like terrifying zombification of the ant to a larger and more dangerous scale.
Yeah, yeah. Zombie ant, very scary. Zombie person, oh god.
So yeah, though it was really a really popular monster in second edition, appearing like we said in several different second edition modules, it's relatively rare to find in other editions. Like we said, not even appearing in fourth edition. They didn't care to even include it, which just
Yeah,
sucks.
so sad.
And even though its most recent version is an exotic location locked and ultimately nerfed Beastie,
Mm-hmm.
we still believe that it's earned its place as a unique staple creature in the worlds of D&D, and we highly encourage DMs to find ways to use the yellow musk creeper and have, shall we say, your players meet the yellow musk creeper.
Yes. Now that we've talked about the background of the Yellow Musk Creepers, I'd like you to picture this. Para hummed to herself as she briskly made her way between the wagons and tents, her rich alto voice rumbling in her chest. She made a quick right turn and sang out, "Alice, you inspirational hammer and muse, I've come to tell you some wonderful news." As Para threw open the tent door, she was greeted with a surprised yelp. Alice dove behind a chair, fumbling as she tried to hold up her tunic to cover her bare torso. "Para! Don't you know how to knock?" "Alice, don't be silly. How does someone even knock on a tent? It's made of canvas. You can't just barge your way in here. I'm not fully clothed." "Oh, that's the issue? Here, let me take off a few layers to make you feel more comfortable," Para said, starting to unbutton her doublet. "No! Just turn around and let me get dressed." Para shrugged and did as she was told. "Alice Wheatley, you might be the first human I've ever met that didn't want to see a naked dragonborn. Focus, Para. What in the fields of Elysium did you need to tell me?" "Oh, right. Well, first I went to tell Zalor, but he was in the middle of suspending himself between two chairs in a perfect split. He just kind of glared at me, so I left. Then I went to tell Naz, but you know how that gnome is. He immediately began chattering away and handing me bits of junk to hold while he tinkered with his latest— Para! Right. I was in the middle of a round of 3 Dragon Ante with some of the drivers when Mr. Maliki Memnon came up to our table. He told them that we'll be stopping at an oasis early this afternoon. Oh, just picture it, Alice. All of that fresh, clean, cool water." The Dragonborn closed her eyes for a moment, savoring the thought. "Para, this is a job, not a holiday." "Oh, I know, but can't a gal take a few moments to soak her scales? Bronze Dragonborn love ocean water and salty sea air. All this desert dust is driving me crazy." Alice sighed as she finished putting her arms through the sleeves of her tunic. "Give me some time to fasten on my armor, and we'll go tell Zalo and Naz." "Actually, just come and find me when you're ready," Para said, waving a hand as she made her way out of the tent door. "I need to get back to that card table. I'm determined to part Ramez from his wineskin before we break camp." An order was shouted from the lead driver. The other drivers responded in kind, and the wagons came to a stop. Para stopped strumming her lute, an expectant grin spreading across her scaly face. "Oh, I think we've made it!" she exclaimed, grabbing Naz under her arm as she leapt from the back of the wagon to the rocky ground. After the incident in the swamp, Para had made it quite clear to her gnome companion that she would not be letting him out of her sight. As usual, Naz's protestations fell on deaf ears as she curried him to the front of the caravan. In front of them was a series of buildings that were once finely constructed but whose roofs were now long gone and whose stone walls were bleached and worn with age. Ruined pillars stood as silent sentinels, defiantly standing against decades of desert dust and sand. Save for a few stone paths, the ground was covered with plant life. Vines and flowers adorned walls and pillars alike. In the center of the tangle, Para caught a glimpse of shimmering water. Naz gave a low whistle as the Dragonborn set him on his feet. "Wow, talk about lush." "I know! I've never seen an oasis before. I say we get in there and get a taste while we wait for the others to catch up," Para replied, making her way forward. As they walked along the path, Para was struck by the sheer abundance of foliage that surrounded them. Plants of all types swayed lazily in the welcome desert breeze. She marveled at the assortment of fruits and flowers that occupied the small island of life in the middle of the inhospitable desert that they had been traveling through just moments before. The change of scenery made a symphony of sounds run through Para's head as she grasped for the proper lyrics to describe the distinct shade of a red of a nearby blossom. As she pondered, Para noticed a particularly lovely flower, far superior to the one she had been trying to identify. It was the most captivating thing she had ever laid eyes on. Its elegant purple fronds almost seemed to be beckoning her over. She moved closer, curious as to what an Edenic orchid like this would smell like. An overpoweringly sweet fragrance enveloped her, and her vision started to swim. She caught herself wobbling as she tried to walk forwards. "Are you feeling okay, Para?" Naz said, placing a small, steadying hand on her side. Para fell to her knees. "What did I come here for again?" she wondered to herself. Before she knew what was happening, the Dragonborn was eye level with the entrancingly beautiful yellow orchid. As she drew closer, a pointed purple tendril rose up from its bottom petals. Para blinked as it lingered in the air. Without warning, the tendril shot towards her face. Para's vision flashed purple, and then quickly faded to black. "Ouch!" the Dragonborn roared as she bolted up to her feet. Para glared at the yellow flower. It looked back at her innocently. "Oh, nice try, pal. Let's see how you like it." Para opened her jaw wide. Electricity started to crackle around her teeth and head frills as she drew in a breath. Just as she was about to exhale, Para felt something grab her ankles. She paused and looked down. 2 pale hands were clamped onto her scaly skin. An equally pale head began to emerge from the bushes, its milky, dead eyes fixed on her. "Oh, hate that," she said. In one quick motion, Para swung her lute off of her back into her hands and strummed a chord. The instrument blasted out a wave of concussive sound that surrounded the Dragonborn, flattening the foliage as it blew the arms off of the crawling corpse. The now petalless flower seemed to hold on for dear life as the pillar it was perched on cracked and toppled over with a loud crash. "Sorry," Para called out. "Didn't mean to break that." "I think we might have some more important issues to worry about," she heard Naz say behind her. Para turned to see more pale-skinned figures rising up out of the brush. Some of the drivers making their way to the oasis shouted in surprise and dropped the buckets and water skins they were carrying. A lithe, dusky-skinned woman screamed as she was suddenly pulled into the bushes by a pair of pale arms wreathed with vines. The bushes shook as Para heard the sound of loud, heavy blows. The screaming abruptly stopped. "Alkira!" Para shouted. The woman may have been a dirty cheat at cards, but she didn't deserve this. Naz pulled his strangely shaped wand from his side with a flourish, slinging a bolt of blue light at a figure that was shambling towards a terrified halfling. Lines of lacy frost spread across the figure, slowing its already stilted movements. "You are so foul that I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole!" Para's insult echoed through the air towards its mark. The figure's opaque eyes widened as it seemed to process what it just heard. Its head tilted with a jolt. Black blood began pouring from its ears as it slowly slumped over. "Everyone back to the wagons! We'll handle this!" Para shouted. The drivers obliged, running in the direction of the caravan. A dozen or so figures were now shambling around the oasis, their worn desert garb and harness boots catching Naz's attention. "Something tells me that not everyone from the last caravan made it out of here." Para gulped. "We're going to need Alice and Zalor." "Way ahead of you," Naz said, pulling a strange metal tube from his hip. He raised it towards the sky and pulled a string dangling from its bottom. With a loud bang and a puff of smoke, the tube launched a brightly burning ball of flame into the sky. It reached the height of its arc, then began slowly drifting through the air. "Just like we practiced," the gnome beamed, as he reloaded the tube with a parchment-wrapped bundle. "Please, somebody." Para and Naz turned, searching for the owner of the voice weakly calling out for aid. 2 pale figures dragged a slumped half-elf towards a withered wall with one of the odious orchids anchored to its side. It reached out a tendril towards its helpless prey. Dragonborn and gnome sprinted forward, hoping to intervene before this scene reached its grisly finale. "We're coming, Ramez! Hang in there!" The half-elf shakily looked up towards the flower. A purple tendril shot cleanly through the socket of his right eye. His body went limp. The wine skin at Para's side suddenly felt heavy. "Naz," she grunted through gritted teeth, Please tell me you have something dangerous and destructive to point at those monsters. By Flandel Steelskin, you bet I do, the gnome replied, tossing a red metal cube in front of them. Various compartments and components opened and whirred as the cube sprouted 4 spider-like legs. A metal head styled to look like a grinning red dragon's extended from its center. Get 'em, boy! Naz shouted as he pulled his goggles over his eyes. The contraption belched out a wide cone of flame, engulfing the 2 figures and the yellow flower behind it. The orchid was incinerated instantly. The figures crackled and popped as they crumbled to the ground, oily black smoke pouring from their bodies. Beautifully done! Para shouted. Naz grinned at her, his white teeth shining out from his soot-blackened face. The figures in the foliage turned and started shambling towards them, arms outstretched. Look away for a moment, Naz. I'll buy us some time. The Dragonborn deftly plucked an entrancing melody, the notes weaving a mesmerizing splash of colors in the air above her. As she attempted to concentrate on the spell, her vision once again flashed with streaks of purple. Para gasped in pain as she fell to her knees. The shambling figures continued towards them, seemingly unaffected. She could hear the roar of more flames behind her as Naz protected their rear. Para gasped for air as sweat streaked across her scales. As 2 of the undead assailants were almost upon her, Para watched as a blur of semi-translucent feet and fists launched into them. They were both sent flying, their skulls smashed. Get up, dimwit. You're no help to us dead, Zalor said as he looked over his shoulder at her. Para attempted to smile at him, but it came across as more of a pained grimace. Stay with us, old girl. We're here now, Alice said, planting herself firmly in front of the panting Dragonborn. She raised the holy symbol around her neck. By Grimjaw's light, cower before me, you pathetic filth! Her voice boomed, empowered with an otherworldly echo. A dome of blue light shone out from her, enveloping the shambling figures that surrounded them. They immediately began lurching in the opposite direction. Para, stay here and try to stay conscious. Naz will handle the ones behind us, Alice commanded. The gnome cackled maniacally behind them. Zalo, you and I will take down the enemies who are fleeing, one by one. Zalor launched himself towards a small cluster of retreating undead. Alice began shouting a hymn to Tyr as she brandished her hammer. It flashed with a golden light as she smashed it into the back of the zombie in front of her, blowing it into shimmering pieces. Para's vision started to swim. Stay conscious, she panted. Stay conscious. She briefly thought she could make out large figures in the desert at the edge of her vision. Para could hear shouting in the distance, then the whizzing of arrows as more of the zombies dropped to the ground. She tried to catch her breath as the smell of sweet flowers and burning flesh overpowered her. Then her vision went black. As Para sleepily opened her eyes, she got the sense that some time had passed. The sky was dark now, light dancing on her periphery. She turned to see a crackling campfire, around which her companions seemed to be talking to a creature that had the head, arms, and torso of a slender, muscled woman, and the body and legs of an antelope. Oh, we survived? The Dragonborn asked groggily. She felt something firm yet soft propping up her back. Para appreciated its warmth against the cold, nighttime air. Yes, 2-legged one, your friends did quite well, a strong voice replied behind her. Whatever she was leaning against rumbled as it spoke. Para shakily sat forward, turning her head to see what it belonged to. She was pleasantly surprised to see a well-muscled man with a closely trimmed beard. A man from the waist up, anyway. She realized she had been snuggled against his antelope half. You're lucky we found you before the yellow musk creepers finished their deadly ritual. Your friend's quick thinking with the flame saved you. He was a bit, enthusiastic, but the oasis will recover. Well, many thanks, handsome, Para purred, attempting to keep herself upright. Rest now. The toxin will take some time to wear off. Oh, don't worry. I plan on letting you hold me until I'm all better, she said, as she slowly slumped over, out cold once again.
Thanks for joining us on Browsing the Bestiary. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes and check out our Patreon at Browsing the Bestiary, all one word.
There you can keep up to date on any new pod-related announcements, access reference pages for each episode, and download character sheets for characters featured in our story times. You can also comment on what you think the next monster will be, and if you get it right, you'll get inspiration.
And if you're something of a lore master yourself, you can offer us corrections for any facts we got wrong. If you catch something we missed, you may get a shout out in a future episode.
Remember to cite your sources.
I'm Dungeon Mistress Jayde.
And I'm Lore Master Andy.
Until next time, may your dice rolls be high
and your adventurers ever prepared.